morning, everyone. I hope you're having an amazing week and that you've really enjoyed working scientifically through all of those activities that we set you to help you learn about light. Don't panic if there's any that you didn't get round to doing. We completely understand that it's hard to fit all of those things into our learning at home. There's some of us have some really amazing parents that are working very hard to try and teach us and keep going with their jobs at the same time. Anything that you didn't get round to doing, I would just suggest that you keep hold of, put to the side, so that if you get an hour or two free at the weekend or maybe during half term and you're feeling a bit bored, you've got something that you can go away and do. This video, I'm going to introduce our new geography unit, which will last a number of weeks and go into next term, whether we're at home or at school. I'll start by showing you our inquiry question that we always start with for a geography or history unit. We'll look at our knowledge organiser, and then finally we'll see how our activities are going to be laid out each week, so that you and your parents know what to do with all those bits and pieces on the school website. So let's get started. Our inquiry question is, how and why is my local area changing? So we're thinking about what our local area is like now, what it might have been like in the past, and the different things that influence a place over time. But before we get into any of that, I want us to feel really confident answering this question. I want us to really understand what is meant by my local area and how that fits in with the geographical understanding that we've already built up of the world this year. So if we zoom out to a world map, we can start to think about where our local area fits within the world as a whole. So the world is made up of 7 continents, 7 continuous areas of land: North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Oceania, and Antarctica. Now remember, Antarctica is a continent, but the Arctic isn't, because if I were to go and stand at the South Pole, I would be stood firmly on land. Very icy land, but land all the same. Whereas if I were to go up to the North Pole, I would probably find myself swimming about or on an iceberg. And around me, I would be able to see areas of land that belong to other continents. I can also see the oceans on this map, the 5 oceans: Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Southern, and Arctic. Now, it's important to remember that the Atlantic Ocean is one big ocean. It's not separated by this line. This is just an imaginary line, the equator, which shows us halfway between the North Pole and the South Pole. And this Pacific Ocean here is the same Pacific Ocean as the one over around this side. On a globe, those would touch, because the world is actually a sphere. Now, I hope you remember what continent we live in. I hope you're shouting it at your computer or tablet or phone or whatever you're looking at this on. Our local area is in the continent of Europe, okay? On my map, that's right in the middle. That doesn't mean that we're in the middle of the world. The world is a sphere, so that means that there's no beginning, middle, or end. But the people that made the first world maps that we see and use in England came from Europe, so they decided to put Europe right at the middle because they thought that they were very important people. If we zoom into Europe, we can see that our continent is made up of lots of different countries. Okay, those countries are the different sections of land that we have that have their own government and make their own laws and decisions, just like our government here have decided that we need to stay home to keep safe at the moment. Now, if I were to ask you what country you lived in, it might get a little bit confusing because there are 2 different answers that people might give. The first is very clearly marked on this map. The country that we live in is the United Kingdom, okay, and that is just here on my map, just slightly separated from the rest of Europe. We know that we did used to be connected to Europe during the Stone Age, during the Paleolithic period, but that we did break away and move apart over time. If we zoom into the United Kingdom, we can see why it gets a little bit complicated though, because within the UK, we also have 4 separate nations, 4 separate areas that have their own local governments, and that many people would refer to still as a country for that reason. We have England, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales. I hope you know which of those we live in. We live in England. If we look into England some more, we can see that it is made up of lots of different counties, okay, lots of different sections of the country that have their own little governments that help make decisions about how the country is run. I wonder if you can spot which county we are in. Our local area is in the county of Northamptonshire. That's just here on my map. On my map it says Northants, but it could say Northants or Northamptonshire. It's right in the middle of the country, quite far away from any of the coasts or any of the seasides. If we look inside it, we can see all of those different towns and villages that make up Northamptonshire. Now, you can't see the title Earthenborough on this map, but we are there. We are just around Hyme Ferrers and Rushton, just up here. So if we zoom into Earthenborough, we can see that that is what we mean when we say my local area. We mean the town of Earthenborough and also the surrounding area that you might be able to walk to. So anywhere in walking distance, we would probably say is our local area. So let's remind ourselves of where our local area is. Our local area is a town called Earthenborough and the surrounding areas. That sits inside the county of Northamptonshire, which is one of many counties that make up England, which is one of the four nations that make up the United Kingdom, which is a country inside the continent of Europe. And Europe is one of the 7 continents that make up our world. Now, I hope that's helped you understand what we're going to be focusing on a bit, that we're just going to be focusing on this tiny little area, just where the E is, where the point of my cursor is, rather than looking at geography in terms of the whole world for the rest of the topic. Right, now there are some things that you can do to get started. You might want to get yourself either a little notebook or just turn to the back of your home learning journal, just so that you can keep all of your learning for this topic together. I would probably start by making myself a nice title page, either writing Earthenborough or writing our inquiry question, how and why is my local area changing? I might put that on that page and decorate it nicely, just so I know that that's where all my learning is going to be for that topic. Then on the second page, I'd like you to split it in half, just like you would in a writing lesson. In the top half, I want you to write down all the things that you already know about your local area. So what do you already know about Earthenborough? You know it quite well because you go there, either live there or go there daily. So you might be able to tell me what school you go to, what type of shops you go to, where you might go for a walk, what people like to do in the area. You can tell me all the things that you already know in that top half. Then in the bottom half of your page, I'd like you to write down any questions that you have. Maybe there are things that you've always wondered about Earthenborough, or maybe some things that you've never even thought to ask before. You might want to know how many people live in Earthenborough, how long the school's been around for, who first lived in Earthenborough. Any questions that you have at all, write those down in the bottom half, and then we can maybe try and find the answers to those throughout the unit. And any that we don't get the answers to, you can go back and have a look at yourself. And then finally, have a look at your new knowledge organiser, maybe stick that in. And that's all the stuff ready to start your unit there. Let me just show you. Let me just share with you the knowledge organiser so you're really clear on what that looks like. So it should look like this, just like the other type of knowledge organisers that we've used in school. You've got your key vocabulary there for you to read through and really go over and make sure you're confident and happy with. A list of things that you should already know or might know. That's a good place to start and make sure you feel really confident about those things before you start doing your learning. Then we've got our key skills. So these are the things that we're really going to focus on over the topic. We're going to look at maps. We're going to draw maps and label them. We're going to look at photographs of Earthenborough and maybe compare those photographs and maps with places elsewhere in the United Kingdom. And then there's also an opportunity for you to do your own fieldwork, your own research, doing it safely, going out where possible, keeping social distancing, but also doing some research from your own home. And hopefully all of that will help you develop a better understanding of what we mean by the human and physical characteristics of Earthenborough. Thinking about those human things, those things that we have created or developed over time. So buildings, things like our school, houses, shops, roads, they're all human features. And then we have the physical features, so those natural things that are already in our community, things like rivers, hills, valleys, okay? And some of those things won't be there in Earthenborough, but we can start thinking about which of those things are there. And then finally, we've got some maps that we'll have a little look at. you can have a look at in detail. And then we've got our key questions. Don't worry about your key questions too much because we are going to tell you which one to focus on each week. You're only going to look at one key question a week. So if I show you then what that is going to look like, what your instructions for each week are going to look like, here you can see that your first question is, what is Earthing Borough like now and how is it used? So that's the only thing you need to worry about doing this week. And then underneath it will tell you the activities for you to do. The first one is to watch this video and to do what I've asked you to do to set up your area in your book. The next two you can do in either order. The first one is a scavenger hunt. So you need to go out on your daily walk and take with you this map, this set of instructions that's down on the next page, and a map that's on the website called Scavenger Hunt Map. And you can see there that there are some instructions for each of the places you need to visit along with a picture to make sure that you know that you're in the right spot. And on that map, all you need to do is put a little X when you find that place. When you're there, you might want to take pictures. You might want to take a picture of you there. You might want to take a picture of the place. You might want to do some drawings, or you might just want to wait until you get back home to do a bit of research about those places. It'll be lovely to see some of those pictures. Then there is an opportunity for you to draw your own map of Earthing Borough. I wouldn't draw all of Earthing Borough. I would just choose a part of it. There's a video clip there to help explain maps and why we use them. Then there's a PowerPoint on sketch maps that's on the school website as well. I can show you that now quickly. That is this PowerPoint, which goes through the type of map that we want you to draw and gives you some examples. And there are some sheets that come along with this for you to have a go at. And then when you feel really, really confident with that, you can start to draw your own map of Earthing Borough. Or you might want to draw a map that shows your route to school. So with that one, it shows you on the PowerPoint how you do a route map where you just draw the roads and then any buildings or landmarks that you would see around that. And there's also a checklist on the website as well, so you can check that you've included everything you need to do on your map. Lastly, there's a little bonus activity there. There's a game on the website for you to have a go at if you're feeling a bit bored or you want some extra practice at your map skills and directions. Now, I hope that that's really helped introduce the unit for you and you feel confident going forward with what you have to do. If you do have any questions though, do just either email me or your class teacher and ask anything that you need to. I hope that you enjoy getting stuck into learning about your local area and finding out some more things about Earthing Borough. Have a great week.